Hey, Mark.
Is it going?
Hey, Bev.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's program, which is a discussion of a life-altering scar. I hope you can see I'm holding up the book, and it is by local resident June LaRose. I don't think June ever expected she would write a book. Did you, June?
No, I gotta tell you, we're back in English class and the teacher said, everyone has at least one book in them. I'm thinking, I don't.
Oh, but you did. Do you want to talk a little bit about what led you to write this book for anybody who maybe hasn't read it yet?
Yeah. As I've said to other people, when I found out about the brain tumor, my immediate reaction is he has the wrong chart. There's just no way. I didn't have any headaches. I didn't have any symptoms. And I just totally thought, well, he's wrong. The poor guy, he must be feeling like a fool right about now. But it was ringing in my head, brain tumor. And I'm thinking, no. And my husband's in the background saying, how the hell did that happen? There's just no way. I mean, you don't know. It's environmental. You can get it from several different things and no one knows the exact cause. And the one thing that I have learned since writing this book is how many people, at this point, it's probably a good 20 people that I know that have had brain tumors that I was unaware of. I mean, I just thought this was just an unusual phenomenon, and apparently it's much more common than I ever anticipated. Two places that I worked, there were at least 3 of us at the software company that I worked at, and at the bank there was at least 3 people that I'm aware of within our departments that had brain tumors. And I'm fortunate, extremely fortunate, that it wasn't cancerous. That's where my saving grace was. But when I found out that I had it, I said, I've got to do something to move me forward and to get me through this. And I went, holy crap, I'm going to beat this right in the butt. And I'm going to write a book about it. And so that meant that when I was in for all of my procedures, I had to take notes. Well, I was pretty well out of it. So I did do it through all of it, but I did at least capture some of the moments that were when I was in the hospital.
So what kind of a process did you have to go through to be able to put this book together? Was it difficult?
You know, it struck me how I was able to hear people talking on TV about incidences that happened to them, medical incidences. And I thought, I could use that in my book. So it seemed like it became all encompassing when I would hear people speaking about something totally different. I'm thinking, you know what? That's got to be part of my book. I've got to get that in there because this is an important part that people are talking about. And maybe it can help other people. So it just started coming in situations that were happening to me in the hospital, or even before I went to the hospital. Like at the one time well, when I first found out, they sent me immediately to the hospital and I had to stay because they had to, if you will, stabilize me because I had a seizure and that's how I found out about it. And that was the weirdest thing. Jen, I mean, I'm sure you can tell me because you've been through medical stuff, the hallucinations when people have brain tumors.
Yeah, maybe Jen can talk a little bit to that. And for anyone who doesn't know, Jen Brasser is a pharmacist, and she's joined into the conversation to provide that medical perspective. So Jen?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously the brain is a very complex organ that we've only started to touch on learning how it works, how it functions. And we only use a small portion of it. But when it comes to, instances like this with tumors, your symptoms and the issues that it can cause can run the gamut from one end of the spectrum to the other, based on where in the brain those tumors arise, based on the positions that it'll press on and what it can activate or inactivate in the brain, and how it can affect what parts of the body function or don't function anymore. And seizures is one thing that is very common as a side effect of having the tumor or in treatment with the
The frontal lobe is where mine was, as you know. And what I didn't realize ahead of time, and it was only until I looked back at my situation, it literally changed my personality, seriously did, to the point where, as I said and I wasn't necessarily, I didn't put this in the book, and I told Stacy I wasn't sure I was going to mention this today or not, but it literally changed part of my personality, to the point where there was a time when I literally pulled off to the side of the road and literally said, "This is not me. Why am I doing this? God, please help me." And I had no idea. And that was probably, give or take, probably 5 years prior to me knowing I had the tumor. So it was there for quite a while and causing issues that I was unaware of.
Without getting into the whole book, do you want to talk a little bit about what kind of changes you experienced emotionally? Did it make you less patient or what sorts of things?
Yeah, and that was it. Some of it was less patient. There's parts of it I don't want to talk about because I'm
We
embarrassed.
don't have to be specific, but just in general.
Sexually, I was a different person. And then not getting into specifics about it, but yeah, I definitely had different personality going in. But I was unaware of it all. I couldn't see it. And as you and I talked the other day, Stace, I thought it was hormones. My just a woman's change of life,
Right,
or whatever going on. But
so did you have were you overly sensitive to things as well? Because I know with the change, that's one of the things women commonly say, they get extra sensitive to everything.
well, it's extra stress and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
again, I just thought I was being cranky because I was going through my change, that's
Right. What about people around you? Do you think anybody had any inkling that something was going on before the diagnosis?
in fact, that kind of burned me a little bit. And I was trying while I was writing the book not to be rude about it. But when I was changing and doing things that were very odd, and I'm not criticizing my husband or men in general, Mark, but he was nonchalant about things that, I said, something's going on. I got, when it got really, to the point where I knew something was definitely happening that was, not right. I had bruises that I didn't know where they came from and stuff. And I'd said stuff like, you don't just get these bruises. He said, well, how did you get them? I said, I don't know. And that's my problem. I don't know. And he just went, oh, I think I saw some something on the floor the other day or whatever. He said, I wiped it up. He said, I thought it was syrup or ketchup or something. And then he went upstairs to go shower. And I went, you got to be kidding. You're going to just tell me that you found this, even though I'm asking these questions to you point blank, and you're going to walk away. And as I said in the book, and I was trying to be polite about it, just want to throttle them. Yeah, I just.
Now, after you went through all the treatments and the surgery and everything you had to do to get better, did it take you a long time to get back to feeling like yourself again?
Oh, that was, yeah. And that was a little on the frightening side, because during the recovery, I went through some strokes that I didn't know about. One in particular was, I was lying in bed and I woke up and my son was there. Now, Jen, you know that Russell lives in Virginia and I'm in Rochester, so my son couldn't be there. So I'm thinking, oh, I must be thinking about him a lot. But there he was standing there because something had happened to me. And that was in the book about my absent seizure. And that was something that happened to more my family than to me, with the fact that I totally was out of it. I knew nothing. I mean, I might as well have been dead. And that's, and I'm not trying to be mean, but just, I wasn't there. I was not there. But apparently, what was that?
Oh, I let somebody in. Somebody else joined us.
There's Wendy Dash. Hi, Wendy. So what was I talking about? Oh, Russell. Apparently I had, that was when they took the tube out, and it caused me to bleed on my brain. And when Roy said, would you like to get out of bed and just sit in the chair and get some fresh air? And I thought, oh, that's a great idea. I've been in bed all this time. So I get out of bed and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm out of it. I'm according to him. And I had to ask him this because I knew nothing of it. I was unaware of none of it. I was blank with my tongue sticking out of my mouth. And he's just panicking, trying to figure out what the heck just happened. And they said it was an absent seizure, that she can't come back without someone helping her. Is there anyone you can call? Well, in my situation, my son's in Virginia. My daughter was the only one other than Roy, and she flew from where she worked to the hospital to help talk me out of it, the absent seizure. And when she came in, apparently I was surrounded by all the medical doctors trying to, again, take me out of this blank situation. But the only part that I remember from all of that was going upstairs and a nurse bathing me. Now, I don't know how anyone else feels, but I'm not the sort of person that just lets anyone be touching my body. I'm just shy about it. So I just looked at her, but yet this whole feeling of being a baby, literally just giving into the moment, letting the world take over, letting her wash me, felt good at the moment. But I asked her, why are you washing me? Well, it's because I had vomited across the room like a
projectile.
Had done an exorcist on me or something. And she needed to clean me up. That's the only thing that I remember from that. But I had to, ask Roy and Mindy what had happened because of it. Recovery, when I finally all said and done and got home, was very frightening to me because of all the bad hallucinations that I had had. And some of them were pretty frightening. Jen, I mean, you can probably talk about what happens with the brain. They were real. They were real when they were happening. And the ghost that came to me, the 3D image is what I called it in the mirror. I just I was stunned looking at this, and I could see it coming at me, literally. But yet, part of my brain was saying, this can't be happening. You're looking in the mirror. They don't move. Why is this person who's surrounded in this coffin-like shape coming towards you? But my brain was going like it was in a wave. It was not connecting. It was freaking scary. It was scary. But then as soon as it happened, I would almost forget about it. Jen, is there a method?
Yeah. Oh, Jen, you're muted. It's the lower left corner of your screen there.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I said the brain is a tricky little thing. I'm actually surprised that you were able to still differentiate between the real and the unreal, because some people, you know, in instance with a tumor or with some mental disabilities, they are in that realm and that is reality. And they are not able to differentiate between what is real and what is not real. And the brain can make up whatever it wants to. And like I said, it's surprising that you were able to really step back and still differentiate between what was right and what was still not right. So that it's weird that it hadn't completely taken over. So obviously that whatever part of the brain that it was pushing on, obviously it wasn't completely taking over, because some people are completely enveloped and taken over by whatever realm they get into, or whatever alternate. I mean, I've known people that, you know, are completely heterosexual women and have had brain cancer and are proper heterosexual women, and have met them in the hospital, and they are loud, obnoxious, vulgar, homosexual, you know, I mean, pursuing women. And I mean, it's weird, because they are no longer even a slice of what they used to be. And so
it's weird, when I was going through it at that second, that was it, that was the reality. But there's a short, just something teeny tiny saying that's not possible. And as soon as I walked out of the situation, although I was still frightened, it almost disappeared. It was like, but yet I had seen the bruises on my body. Once that vision went away and I realized it was me that was bruised, not the person in the mirror, or not the image in the mirror, I had to literally look at myself and said, oh my God, it's real. Then I had to go downstairs and validate, because my husband was downstairs at the moment. And I went and he was reading the paper, and I said, what, do I look okay? And he pulled the newspaper down and he said, you look like shit. What happened to you? And I said, oh, good. They had validated it, all right, but you could have been a little kinder.
Yeah.
But I did not have it in my head. It didn't come to the front of my brain, I should say, to say, I just saw this really weird image in the mirror. That was like totally gone at that moment. It totally disappeared. The brain is like, it's like a scary, scary, scary thing.
Now this, just to clarify, all happened before you had the tumor removed, correct?
Before you had the tumor removed, right? Before we
Yeah.
even knew what it was.
Now,
Yeah.
once it was removed, you've never afterward had any of these kind of problems
Nope.
again, right?
No, and that's what I kind of went off track. Yeah, when I got back, I was scared because I thought that might happen. And it's frightened the hell out of me because I did not want to be left alone. But I had to. He was still working and no one was there at the house with me. So I just had to pull up my big girl pants and, move forward and just say, hey, it is what it is. And life goes on.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you have to do. And that the book, writing the book and adding to it helped me stay focused on what was okay and what wasn't. I couldn't walk properly. I had to relearn just to talk because of the strokes and stuff. But that didn't take a terribly long time for me. And I understand that that's not true in all cases. I was very fortunate that that stroke happened in the hospital and they were able to take care of it. But even probably, I'm going to say it was, and I'm guessing at this, maybe 2 weeks after I was home, my kids came in to see me, my son and the grandbabies, my son and his wife and the grandbabies. And there was a situation where I had gone, his tent took off with the wind. We went running after it. I could feel myself. I could not. You're not running. You're not running the way you should be running. Your mind says, run after that. Go help him. That. So you're running, and it's like you're running in slow motion. It's just not. It's not connecting. Your brain's not connecting with your feet, and it's like.
Does it feel awkward? Did it feel awkward?
Oh yeah. Before he came in, the nurse came, I remember one time, and as she was leaving, I was going to the mailbox, and I didn't remember till afterwards my grandson had said, Nana, be careful, there's bees in the mailbox. Well, I didn't remember until after the bees started chasing me. And as I said in the book, the good part was that I thought I was going to kiss the ground that day because I was trying to run and it wasn't working. And I only got stung a couple times, but it's amazing what you say is good, even though it's not great. But you make it through.
Can you talk a little bit about after you had the surgery, and you talk about it in the book, what it's like to, have the scar and the shaved head and all of that?
Yeah, there was, I guess it's my vanity coming out when that happens, because I just felt so freaking ugly. I just, parts of it, me wanted to cry. But I stayed away from the mirror. I just didn't want to see it. I did not want to see it. There are, from here to here, ruts in my head, divots that go down. My hair was shorter because they had to shave it, and it had been short when all this happened. And as if you saw the book, and most of you did, quite a few stitches. And the nurse is the one who talked me into going to the beautician in Canandaigua. Her name is Daisy. And that was an amazing experience for me because I felt so awful. So unattractive. I'm going to just say it. And when I went in there, she knew this coming in, what the situation was. And she not only did my hair, she did my emotions. She took and said, I'm going to make you look like this. You will look really good. And we're going to do this, this, and this. And you're going to, somehow it was her personality that just moved me along and said, I'll be better. I'll be better. And was it a great style for me? Maybe not, but it still made me feel better. And all of the girls in the salon, all the beauticians, they even stayed past the time that they were supposed to go home and watched her do this. And when she turned me around to see myself in the mirror, I looked so much better. No, was I, I never will be or ever have been a 10, but but at least an 8, sometimes. So, but she made me feel like, more like a 5, which was great at the time, and it just turned me one more step towards recovery. And that's why I dedicated a chapter to her.
Mhm.
In fact, now that I think about it, I never sent that book to her. I don't, no, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
So, I guess I want to make sure that, Jen, that you maybe talk a little bit about, for anybody who might watch this, are there any early warning signs people can be aware of for a brain tumor at all? I mean, I know everybody's different, but are there any things that, like, if this is happening, you might want to go see your doctor?
I mean, it's gonna vary from person to person. I mean, it's really hard to say because it all depends on
You're a Go
in the
ahead.
brain that the tumor is located. I mean, obviously,
My
headache
husband stepped downstairs.
would be you would think would be one of the primary symptoms that you would experience. Obviously, depending on where the tumor is located, if it would be affecting any of your memory. I mean, you could have one on your, like your occipital nerves that could be affecting your vision, or your on your facial nerves that could be affecting your smell. I mean, it all depends on where it is in the brain. Balance, taste, smell, vision, headache.
One of the things that bothered me was vomiting, unusual vomiting that I didn't pay attention to.
That's another possibility.
Balance issues, maybe?
Yeah, balance. The memory, and then the personality changes. But all of those again are symptoms of 1,000 other.
Right.
So it's hard to say. You wake up one morning and you have a headache. I don't want somebody to be like, oh my God, I have a brain tumor.
Yeah. But if you're waking up with a headache and it goes on for 2+ weeks and you have some of these other unusual things you never had before, it might be worth a conversation with your doctor.
I mean, anything that is nagging and persistent like that is unrelieved is obviously something that needs to be addressed. Because something that doesn't go away needs to be looked at.
Jen, is there anything that you can speak of whereas the stomach is affected by any of this as to why it would be affected? Because that's where I thought, as I looked back, was some of the things that I remembered that are possible signs that I should have paid attention to but didn't.
It's just the nausea?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously the nausea would be like in your brain, you've got the whole your eating and your your satiation, when your brain tells you when you've had enough to eat and all of that. So that would affect your, the nausea, the things that make you, you're eating. Did you lose, like, did you
It
not?
would be before I would even eat, my stomach would be, felt like I was ready to vomit for some unknown reason.
Did you lose, like, were you not hungry as much?
It wasn't a matter of hunger or not hunger, or to be hungry or not to be hungry. It was just, my stomach was just queasy. I mean, to the point where I thought I would get sick to my stomach, knew something was happening, like an episode, that's what I would call it. But I had no idea why. I had no, is that part of it, or is that possibly something totally unrelated?
That could be, yeah. And another thing is, another sign of possibly most cancers is unexplained weight loss.
Too bad I didn't have that.
That's a good side effect, right? But yeah, I mean, like I said, the brain is a tricky little thing, and it controls every part of our body and everything that we do. And so, I mean, anything that you can think of that your body does can be affected. So
right now, I still have a brain tumor, as I said in the book, on my spinal cord, and they say it's a slow grower, excuse me, and that because of where it's located, it's inoperable, but that they would radiate it. Can you speak to anything in regards to, I don't know, what sort of symptoms I might feel from that?
where is it located?
On my spinal cord.
Whereabouts? On the upper part, or
Top, yeah.
like at the base of the brain?
Yeah.
As far as what you would experience with the radiation?
No, as far as when I should be aware that it's growing and I need to.
If it's at the base of the brain, obviously you would growth, you would probably start experiencing headache. But with it being there, all of the nerves that start radiating out would be like, like shoulder and muscle issues, and maybe like numbness and tingling down the arm, things like that.
Okay.
And then possibly, like mid-back pain. But the first thing that I would say would be just like, that pain in the back of your neck type feeling would be the first thing. And as it were to grow, if it was actually in the spinal column, if it were to start pressing on nerves that radiate down through the spinal column, it would start affecting, because those nerves then go down and branch out and are what gives the signal to the stomach, the pancreas, and the liver, and the kidneys, and all of that. So if it's pressing on any of those nerves, then that could then start impacting, like your good digestion and all those things.
Okay.
Something
Forward to another book.
or outside the spinal cord.
You did a good job with the book, but we won't look forward to another one.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, though, the book was meant to help people who maybe were going through similar situations, whether it be brain tumor or any other medical kind of situation. And that's what I was hoping for. Maybe this could help someone along the way. And I have heard of people who have read it and were inspired by it. So I'm glad at that.
Yeah, you signed the library's copy. Find your lessons, fight for your goals, and never give up on your dreams.
There you go.
So that's a little insight into why I think that you wrote this book.
Yeah.
You were trying to inspire people not to give up no matter how hard something might be that comes your way.
Yep.
And certainly you had a challenge for your life. So, but you came through it. and stronger for it, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I'm wondering if anybody in the audience might have any questions either for June or Jen. If you do, you can either choose to put them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and just ask. It's up to you. Sometimes people prefer to type them in. I'll read it if you do.
One thing that was good for you, June, and Jen, was the fact that you had a lot of family support, and that's important in overcoming any obstacle in life, but having the right mindset, to having the desire to tackle a challenge when it comes to a medical condition. People that are just like, well, whatever, whatever happens. But the ones that are determined from the beginning to really, say, I'm not going to let this thing beat me, are the ones that end up conquering it in the end, because it really is, literally a mind over body.
Yeah.
I see we have a question from WLD. WLD, I don't know your actual name, but if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, it's in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. You just click on, there you go. Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Oh, okay. WLD, I'm Wendy. And I know June, my father is married to her. So, and I just wanted to share something. I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say that her book is on my nightstand and will be forever, because it did help me immensely. My own personal struggles, physical, medical issues I've had my whole life. And her book just reminds me to keep my chin up, that I'm my own person, and I don't even know what to say. It was very profound for me. It took a lot of the anger that I felt for a long time for various reasons when I was sick. And I was able to just put those feelings away and move on. And without that book, I probably would still be struggling. So I thank you two very much.
Thank you, Wendy. That's really, thank you very much. I'm glad. That pleases me. To me, that's worth being rich from anything. To me, that's what makes a person rich. When they help people like that. So I'm glad it did. I'm glad it helped you.
Yeah, there's immense healing power in knowing that you're not the only one.
It might not be the exact situation, but very similar.
Yeah.
Exactly. The emotions of it all, just processing it. So yeah, that helped me process a lot, and I appreciate it more than you can imagine.
Thank you.
All right.
Does anyone else have anything they want to add or a question? If not, I think, and I don't see anyone, and I don't think there's anything in the chat. So thank you everyone for attending this discussion, and it is being recorded. So if you want to rewatch it, it'll be available on the library's YouTube channel within a day or two. So thank you. And thanks to June and Jen for contributing so much to the conversation.
Thank you,
everyone.
Jen.
Have a good night.
Stacey. Bye.
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.
Bye.